So this is a get ready with me. So as you're coming in, hello, hello, hello. It's a different orientational setup, which is not what you all are used to, this type of a face-to-face conversation, but I felt it was important. This came across my heart and my mind the other day. I was praying to God and I was just saying that there are some, some things conversation, but I felt it was important. There are some things that I needed some discernment on, and this happened to be one of the ones that crossed my mind, and so I felt like it was imperative to talk about. As I lay my foundation down, I want you all to know I am getting dressed to go out, so this will not be long at all. But I felt like it was very much necessary to bless someone else the way I was blessed, and to share my experience. And in sharing those experiences and that experience, I hope that I can give someone else some encouragement. Hope that I can give you some guidance. Hope that I may be able to bless you in some sort of a way possible as you are on your journey of pregnancy and battling diabetes. So, for disclaimer purposes, I'm not a medical professional. This conversation is solely based off of my life experience to give you encouragement, to give you purpose, and to help you with understanding some difficulties that you are facing. You are not alone. And I myself also, although the situations are never the same for any one person across any board, that I myself also face those challenges and I overcame them, and you too can do so as well. So now that we've gotten housekeeping rules and foundational rules all set up, I wanted to grab this new primer. This is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. And I thought, what better way to talk to a woman than to be doing my makeup. And so, yes, I am here to talk to you all about my journey while pregnant and being a type 2 diabetic, and how I kept my A1C to a 5.4. It was not easy. I'll start off by saying that nothing is ever easy. Anything that you want is always worth a fight. That's number 2. And number 3, always make sure you keep God first. I always want to preference that by saying make sure you always keep God first, because without him, none of those things and none of this would even be possible. My child being here wouldn't be possible. Me even conceiving would not have been possible. And being able to say that I maintained an A1C of a 5.4 would not have been possible. It was a team of doctors that I worked with. I know everybody was looking for me to say I did it all on my own, and I ate good, which is one of the things. We haven't gotten there yet, but for starters, always have a great team. The team that was in my corner was my doctors, nutritionalist, my family, my husband, and myself, and my job. I will not try, even though I'm no longer there, discredit that they did not help along in the journey, because they respected the time that I needed when I needed to take breaks and stuff like that, because you will need to take breaks to accomplish this for a multitude of reasons. The first thing, for starters, is the moment that I found out that I indeed was pregnant, meaning that I took a pregnancy test, it came back positive, meaning I was indeed pregnant. This is sticky. I've never used this foundation, so if you catch me looking down, it is because I'm actually actively putting on makeup as we speak. And so I may look down from time to time, but yeah. So there were a team of doctors and a nutritionalist, as well as me, asking a lot of questions. Let me turn this off. Sorry. Asking a lot of questions and just being as open as possible about the things that I was experiencing, the questions that I had, as well as hi Crafty, how are you? We're discussing me when I was pregnant with my kiddo, how I maintained my A1C of 5.4, also while being type 2 diabetic. And so that's the topic of conversation. And instead of us coloring a sheet, we're gonna color my face. I'm gonna do my makeup as we talk over some things. And so if anyone out there is triggered by anything that I'm saying, just let me know. I'm not doing within any intention to trigger anybody. But for the moment that I found that I was pregnant, I contacted my doctor, and they, of course, went ahead and sent me over to a specialist. You are going to need a specialist. A specialist is very much more so manageable than an OBG, just a traditional OBG, because there will be things outside of their wheelhouse that they don't understand. There are going to be chemical imbalances that your body is going to go through that they're not going to be able to explain to you and to help you. That's for starters. So get you a specialist. You need a specialist. I will not if anything outside of anything else that I say that you take away from what I'm saying, get you a specialist. It's very important. Number 2, make sure your specialist immediately sets you up with a nutritionist. A nutritionalist needs to help you retrain your mind. Even as someone who is a chef, who has prior experience in the healthcare field with nutritional health and dietary restrictions and setting up diets, there were things that I myself did not know and did not know I was going to experience. These people have years and years and years of experience. They've come across many different avenues and different sets of people as far as like culture goes, because culture does play a factor. We cannot lie and say that it doesn't when it absolutely does. And so therefore, you need a team of people that know more than you. And if you think you know it all, and if you're one of those people who go to the doctor and argue with them, this is not the conversation for you, because it's going to be a lot of medical-based stuff. Yes, you can do this thing holistically. However, you're crossing into very dangerous territories, because your body is going to behave in ways when you're pregnant that you ain't never. You've never, ever, ever, ever felt, ever dealt with, ever thought. And so you need somebody that know more than you. And it's okay to admit you don't know. It's fine. That's what they're there for. Why do I feel like it's too light? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, that's coming off real light. But it's okay. And so you're going to need those people. You're going to need them. You're going to need them to guide you. You're going to need them to ask questions when you don't understand what's going on. You're going to need them to be a sounding board. And it is very imperative that from the moment that you found out you're pregnant, you do so. Because that's crucial. Your baby is a fetus. It cannot survive without you. I mean, it has no body, no shape, no form. All it has is a heartbeat. And until you cross a certain threshold, you need to realize that you are really fighting a crucial point. And for me, looking back at it, I thank God for that naivete, because I didn't really understand that until I got pregnant. And so it wasn't until they started asking me about, like, my birthing journey and how I wanted things to go, that it dawned on me, like, wait a minute, you mean this whole time none of that mattered? And they were like, no, because your baby wouldn't have survived without you anyway. So why are we talking about a birthing journey and you ain't even got to that point yet? So you're still growing the little human, and you need to make sure you can continue to grow that little human, because the higher your sugar goes, the more stressed out your body is going to be. And without that solid foundation of that team and knowing, where you're starting from, you will send yourself off completely. Time and time again, we have this idea of how we want things to go. Oh, wow. Oh, Crafty. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, baby. I'll tell you another story. This is why I gave this a 3-hour window before I have to leave and talking to you all, is because I've been diabetic since I was 12. So, um, my entire family is diabetic, but I was the first person to get it at 12, and it was in the early 2000s when doctors were beginning to understand that what they thought they understood, they didn't really understood. They didn't understand. So you would have some doctors openly admitting that the way that medicine was practiced for 200s to thousands of years prior to that, they were openly admitting that they did not understand this new set of bodies, the way that the books say it to practice medicine and what was actually happening with the people. And I was one of the ones who fortunately got diagnosed early with diabetes, because if you don't get diagnosed early, there are a multitude of complications that can come about if you are not handled right. I have a husband, unfortunately, I hate to keep bringing him up, but he is a prime example of a long-term illness that was not diagnosed early enough, and it caused him to need a transplant. So yes, if you have any questions, Crafty, I can actually help you. You can DM me. I'll give you my number if need be, and I can actually, I'll be a sounding board for you if you need anything. But yeah, so that in itself was another set of things that other doctors beyond a specialist did not understand. So they're used to calling a pregnant woman with diabetes a gestational diabetic. I wasn't gestational diabetic. I was a pregnant woman with diabetes. So my body had been functioning for years being diabetic, and now I'm pregnant, which all in itself was a blessing, because it was always said that I probably wouldn't get pregnant because I did have diabetes, or whatever they tried to say that God wouldn't do, that he did. Okay. So that's number 2. Then when you get this team in place, you want to listen to them. That's my second word of advice, is to listen. So when they give you things to do them. If you do not feel comfortable doing them, then voice why you don't feel comfortable and let them come back and then give you the reasons as to why they may be making that suggestion. Because doctors do work for you, but you don't want to put up a fight all the time, because sometimes it really ain't worth the fight, and they are the specialists. They are the ones who have the knowledge. You have the body, they have the knowledge. Let them help you. And, do what they say do. And so from there, I got with my nutritionalist, and we set a meal plan for me. So she gave me numbers to eat at different meal times. So there are 3 main meal times within a day. When you're pregnant, there are going to be 4 main meal times. It's not going to be 3. It's going to be 4. And for me, I had to look at it that way, because with the medicines that I was taking, which is also very good, I bought some food guides that hang around the refrigerator, so we're learning what is good and what isn't good, like carbs, GI, etc. Yes, that's a very good starting point. And also plan. If you can plan ahead, you can actually get ahead of those hunger spikes or drops. So that's something else that I'll talk about later as well. But so for now, we are talking about the 4 main meals, the 4 main meal times that I ate, and understanding that along with those 4 main meal times came with the fact that my medicine would secrete at those times. So understanding when my medicine secreted the insulin that I needed to keep my sugars low. So I would always in turn be high. They were fighting against highs to keep me low. So to keep me low, I needed to know when I may go low so I could stay low, and when I would go high, when I need it to be high, if that makes any sense. Think about a seesaw. If you don't go up when the other person is pushing down, now you're up. And if you don't never go down, how do you get off? Or when that person gets off, understanding that you're going to go up, and to how to react to when that happens. I hope I'm making sense. If not, keep listening. I promise you I will. So I would literally eat every single day the same time a day. Every single day. Sunday through Saturday. That meant even if I was at work or at home, I made a conscious effort to plan to wake up at the same time every day. It didn't matter what time I went to sleep. It mattered what time I woke up, because it mattered what time I ingested that medication and I ate. And I ate within, like Crafty said, a certain guideline, a certain count. So if I knew breakfast was going to be a really hard carb heavy day, instead of eating carbs throughout the later part of the day, I would only eat carbs in the morning, and that would be it. And it would be nothing but proteins throughout the rest of the day. Or complex carbs, things like vegetables or fibrous type of things, not crackers, not noodles, not, chips. None of those unconventional things to snack on. And that was another thing I had to do, was as I planned my meals based on those numbers, I started to realize the foods that I myself indulged in and that I really, really loved, I had to let it go. This was not a time to overindulge. This is not the type of pregnancy where you can sit there with a bowl of ice cream on your belly and say, well, I'm eating for two. Because theoretically, that fetus is always going to eat. It's a fetus. It's literally sucking the life out of you to survive. It's feeding off of you. That's literally what the word fetus means. I know it sounds crazy, but it's very true. And it's always going to feed off of you. So you need to feed yourself, not trying to feed. You're not feeding two people at that moment. You're feeding yourself so that you can remain healthy, so that this baby can remain healthy. You don't want to have a big baby. You don't want to affect the baby's eyesight through your high glucose numbers. You don't want to affect brain development through high glucose numbers. All that has an effect on the baby. And food can either be your enemy or it can be your friend. And that's just really how it is. And so, for me, I looked in the mirror. I'll never forget it. I cried. I wanted a bag of Flamin' Hots for a multitude of reasons. It's my favorite chips, and I wanted something spicy. I wanted it. Why can't I have it? And I remember eating it, and my sugar going up so high, I think it got up to like 300, and I freaked out. And I broke down and I started crying. And I remember saying, you prayed for this. You begged God for this. So what you gonna do with it? Are you gonna do what they said do? Or are you gonna do what you want to do? And then this gonna continue to happen every single time. So I made a conscious effort. No chips. No fries. What else did I give up? No noodles. I remember drinking chicken broth when I wanted noodles. Oh, there are ways to get around stuff. Chicken broth with hot sauce. When I wanted noodles, people thought I was crazy. Yep, I would drink chicken broth with hot sauce, and that was it. That's what it had to be. I couldn't do nothing else. If I wanted this little boy to be healthy, and I wanted to be healthy, because not only are you trying to make sure the kid is healthy, you want to be here to see the kid, because your recovery also depends on what your glucose is, what your A1C is, because you could either have a faster recovery time or you could have a longer recovery time and then create more complications. So one thing can lead to several other things happening if you don't take control of it. And from the very beginning. So we ain't even got past trimester 1. This is all trimester 1. And I just was like, If this is what I want, then hey, that's what I gotta do. This is what I gotta do. So I ate every single day at the same time. Literally, I would wake up at, see, I had to be at work at 8 o'clock. I would wake up at 6:30 every single day, even on the weekends. And that's just what it was. And I would eat the same thing within the same carb count and protein counts, and increasing my protein and drinking all the water known to man, because water is definitely going to be your friend. I'm not talking about those fancy like Crystal Light drinks or energy drinks or sugar free this, sugar free that. You can throw all that HIT away. Okay, just throw it away. It ain't good for you now, and it's not gonna be good for you then. And I'm telling you this because your body probably ain't gonna read it right. Those things are filled with so many chemicals that they try to trick your body into doing the opposite of what it wants to do, and 9 times out of 10 it don't work. It's just, I found that out the hard way too. I think I tried to drink a sugar-free Calypso and same thing, 300. I'm like, but it says it's sugar-free. And I had my nutritionist on speed dial. I think they gave me like her work phone, and I was texting her, and she was like, you can forget it, Miss Anderson. You know what you're doing. Stop. You didn't drink that before you was pregnant, so why are you drinking it now? I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. And she was like, please don't deviate from the process. And so that's what I did. When I wanted to drink, I drank a lot of tea. So, and I'm not talking about like Lipton tea in the bottle that's sugar-free. No, I mean, I would literally give me some tea and brew it in a jar and have me tea. I traded in my purse for a lunch bag, and I literally would carry my meals with me everywhere I went. No matter, even if I was going to the grocery store, I would have me some snacks in a bag. Those peanut butter crackers, ate them, couldn't do more than 2. And then I realized I probably shouldn't even do the 2 because I could never get over the hump until too later off into the day, and it would run into my dinner time. And so I couldn't do that. So I eventually cut out the crackers and bought me a jar of peanut butter and a jar of almond butter. And I would take the measurements on the jar and literally put them into Ziploc bags. And that's what my snack would be. And I would take the tip of the bag and rip a hole in it and squeeze it on whatever I was eating. So I would cut me up some cucumbers. I would cut up celery sticks. I would eat pickle slices. Like when I wanted something salty or, something salty, I would eat pickles. When I wanted something sweet, I would have strawberries. I would have nothing but berries. I wouldn't eat an apple. I couldn't eat apples. I couldn't eat applesauce. I couldn't eat bananas. I couldn't eat oranges. And as a diabetic, I don't eat those things anyways because the numbers is just too much sugar. I'm one of those who can't eat any apples, oranges, bananas, watermelon, because it just has too much potassium in it. I can't do it. So when I got pregnant, I really couldn't do it. And so I just ate berries. I would eat nuts, a lot of grains, and 1 piece of bread in the morning and 1 piece of bread at night. And that would be what would hold me over. And so after I got down really good with the food, I realized how to add in physical activity. And when I would add in physical activity, I would get up earlier in the morning before work, and I would take the dog on a extra, like a walk. We would walk for an extra 10 minutes in the morning. And because I worked at a school, we had this really cool thing called brain breaks, where we would take the students on 2 15-minute brain breaks, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. So before lunch and after lunch, essentially. And I would never get the brain break in the morning because it would always be too hectic. But I would eat my lunch that I, of course, had brought and portioned out. And I would take the last 5 to 6 minutes of my lunch and go for a walk. And then in the afternoon times, if I didn't catch the afternoon brain breaks, I would go for a break after we dismissed the kids for like a 10-minute walk or whatever. And adding that additional 10-minute walk into the additional 20, no, actually it turned into an additional 30 minutes because I would do it again when I got home. So when I would come home for the evening and then have to let the dog out from being in the house all day, I would add in another 10 minutes. And eventually it became routine. And I would do it like clockwork. And I would talk. I would find ways to motivate myself, even if I didn't want to do it. Even when I got too big, I still, would motivate myself on how to do it or ways to do it. I traded in my chair at work for, the yoga ball, the real big yoga ball. They have chairs. Those balls have chairs. So there's a frame that the ball sits in with a back. And I would sit in the chair and work. Or when I got home from work, I would sit on the ball with my back up against the couch, me sitting on the ball open, and that's a form of exercise too, because you're not slouching, so you're framing your body, and with you're framing your body, you're burning energy because you're not leaning back, so you are controlling your core. That's another form of energy. So we've discussed the team, we've discussed meals, planning out your meals. We've discussed adding in extra exercise, and now we need to add in the mental. So this is going to be a mentally trying time, of course, because you're going from a high sugar, probably, theoretically high sugar, to a lower sugar. So your brain composition is going to change because you're not feeding it a ton of sugars. So some people, you may experience being a little angry, a little crabby. You know how they're saying, oh, you're hungry, grab a Snickers. It's because you're hangry, so give yourself some sugar. So eventually, you may tend to be a little, have a little attitude because you don't have that sugar that your brain is feeding off of. And so with that, now you're crashing out. I hate to say it. Not only are you crashing out due to hormones, you're crashing out also because you're bringing your sugar down. And so you just need to tell the people that you're around to be aware of those things, because that's also a sign of low blood sugar, which is good, but then sometimes it's too low. So if you could get yourself like a continuous monitor, you just made me sit up straight. Yes, sitting up straight engages your core. So, yeah. So if you sit up straight, you control your own posture, you engage your core, that is a form of working out as well, because your body is positioning itself differently than it's used to, and you are holding your own weight. So, yeah. But anyways, so yes, so just, making the people that you are around aware of what's going on, and telling them to give you a little grace because this is new to you. It's new to everybody at first. And so if they could be patient with you, and if they can't be patient with you, they have a right to not be patient with you too, but karma is a bee, so just know that. So yeah, make sure you're patient with yourself and you're patient with others, because when you need patience, your time will come as well. And so also make sure that you have someone during this time that you can talk to, like your partner, your doctors, because it could be a struggle. It was a struggle for me. My husband was very good at it. I remember he would like clockwork know that my sugar was going to drop at night. So we made a deal that every night he would just bring me a little icy cup. And that would be my snack. And I could not go to sleep without this icy cup. And so one day, funny enough, we hadn't agreed to it. It was like a unspoken kind of like one of those funny husband wife things. I don't know, like I don't know if your spouse like maybe will fill your water cup at night. He would bring my water cup in one hand and my icy with a spoon in the other hand. Just the cutest. But that was also his way of understanding like she may drop at night. She's tired, so she's not realizing that she may need a little extra. I'm going to bring her, a little something extra. So having a spouse or a partner, whichever one it is, or a friend, to be there for you just to, help guide you and think about things that you may not initially be able to think about before you go to bed or go off to work. That person saying, hey, is there anything you may need from the store, a little extra for your lunch? Did you, have you packed your lunch this week? Have you given any thought to what you may eat? Or are you all planning something out together? I find that it's far more enjoyable when you have somebody to share, different experiences with, whether, good experiences or bad experiences. But ultimately, you grow yourself, because some of the things as a diabetic also helps a regular person just balance out their life too. I think it's mighty funny that a lot of the type A things that I am as a person, being a Virgo, it also spills over into my health and understanding of things, because they're structured, and if you maintain this structure, it maintains balance and order. So as a Virgo, we're very much about balance and order, and so for these things to be just around me at all times, I just feels like, I don't know, I get a kick out of it. But then it's like these moments where I'll be like, aha, that's probably why I'm so good at X, Y, and Z. But yeah, so, just having a partner to be there for you, to help you mentally through the journey, because pregnancy not only is its own journey. I mean, I'm not sure how many potential mothers I have on the live or will catch it on the replay, but, it's a struggle, and having a great partner can, really help that struggle not be a struggle, or as bad as the struggle that it is, because it's already a new journey. It's a journey in itself. And then now you have this to think about, where you could probably care less. You were probably a diabetic, knew you were a diabetic, took your medicine, but still ate whatever you wanted to. Now you have to be more critical and thoughtful about what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. And so it just helps to have a person there, a pillar of support, if you will. So we've gone through the fact of you needing a great team, for starts. We've gone through you needing to keep track of your meals and what to eat and how you're eating and why you're eating what you're eating. And we've gone through, I lost track now. I don't know what just crossed my mind, but anyway, so we're on point 4 is what basically I'm trying to say. So we're on point 4. So now we've gone there. The last thing that you want to do is not stress yourself out and give it to God. Because once you've done all the legwork, you have to put it into motion. And the best way I could say, you've done it. What is it? Faith without work is dead. So now you're doing the work, and now you have to have faith that all the things that you are doing are going to pan themselves out for great reason with great intention. And it's all going to work itself out. I'm not sure if any of you are non-believers out there. I'm sorry if you are. But I believe in the Holy Spirit. And I believe that you cannot do anything in this life without Him. And that once you've done all of that, you give it over to God. And you just keep doing. And you keep going. And you keep growing. And when you feel yourself slipping back, you tap in with your team. And your doctors, yourself. And you always remember to have fun, because even though you are pregnant, going through a journey, you do want to have fun while doing so. You never want to take any of the joy out of anything that you're doing, because at the end, it's not, there should be joy in life. There should be joy in journey. And so for me, as I went through my pregnancy journey, I always remember to keep God first and my family, and to be joyous. And that meant silencing the noise. So sometimes you can't tell everybody, what you have going on, because you just don't need their input. Everybody thinks that they know everything, and sometimes they hinder more than they are helping, is what I was basically trying to say. And so always be sure to never forget that, you're not on this journey alone. And oftentimes, maybe you could start starting a support group, or getting your own, creating your own support group is always a good thing to have when you're going through it, because some people, may not understand in your immediate circle what it feels like or what it is. And so being open to looking elsewhere online, there's a lot of communities out there, and document the journey, because when you look back on it, you have to, there's like, what is it, 3 stages of pregnancy: the actual being pregnant, then it's dealing with the post-pregnancy and baby, and then it's getting back to yourself 2 years after that. And so that would be the part of the journey that I'm on, is a lot of the things I had to relearn what I was doing prior to getting pregnant in the first place. So learning what I may have eaten while I was pregnant is not something I can eat now that I'm not pregnant, and remembering that those carbs weren't good for me prior to. They were good for in that moment, but they're not good for me now. So I'll be sure to make a little ebook or something of that nature. I'm working on that now. So things that I eat while I'm not pregnant that I may have eaten when I was pregnant, and vice versa. And just always, understanding that things will never go back to the way that they were. It's okay, and maintaining the fact that you need to constantly be in touch with your doctor, be vocal about the changes, because they may be able to pick up on something that you weren't able to pick up on. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else. So there was like little snacks that I would have. So I would make like popcorn, or like homemade popcorn was a really good snack. A lot of veggies, so a lot of raw vegetables. Water was my best friend. Seltzer water, so I would drink like seltzer water with lime, which is crazy. That was my version of Sprite. Seltzer water with lime was my version of Sprite. Let's see, Crystal Light and iced tea, like sugar-free tea, was like another thing. So yeah, trying to think anything else. I mean, I was so like straight forward with like just understanding, like, man, I really wanted them chips though. I never forget that, but I didn't indulge. I gave it up. I literally did. And so yeah. Are there any questions? Crafty, do you have any questions? Are you still there? Ooh. Trying to think. Was there anything else? Yep, just have fun. Have fun, but don't overindulge. Because like I said, when you have your A1C in control while pregnant, your recovery is amazing. So after we've gone through all of the while pregnant stuff, and that's not to say, you'll have the best labor and delivery, because that's a whole nother thing. We're not even talking about that. That's something completely different. But it does definitely help you along the healing process. For me, I had a C-section. I did the minimum 4 days in the hospital. I didn't have any setbacks in regards to that. I did end up with preeclampsia and high blood pressure after having him, but I do believe that was because he ended up getting sick afterwards. He didn't have to go into like the NICU or anything like that, but he had something else going on, and so and that was pretty much that. But other than that, there was nothing really too crazy that had transpired. But I didn't have any like setbacks along with that. I had a C-section, healed very well. Didn't have to go back into the hospital by the grace of God for anything other than just usual checkups. But that A1C did help with that healing process. If you are a diabetic, if you cut yourself, you probably gonna keloid, and it's gonna take you a minute to heal, because you heal differently. And so that was something I had on my side with having a really decent A1C, was that the healing process went as smoothly as it could. I was able to breastfeed. He was exclusively breastfed. There were times, and there will be times and moments that you may have to throw in a little formula here and there. He had, in fact, the very first feed he actually had wasn't my breast milk. It was actually formula, because when I was actively in labor, they gave me insulin. So I guess that's one of the protocols, because your body will naturally spike. That's what it was. That's what I wanted to talk about. Look at God. He circled me back around. So, I know there are some people who are like, I don't want to do like all these medicines while pregnant, blah, blah, skip people. And I'll be the first to say I was there with you. I really was. And that's amazing how God brought me directly back to this point, because that was one of the most pivotal points that I really wanted to hone in on. And I can't believe it. It went over my head. But I digress. You need a doctor. And you need to do what them doctors tell you to do, unless it is outrageous. And if you just are feeling it's total outrageous, you have every right to get a second opinion. However, your body is going through something completely different than what it's gone through before. And I'll be the first one to tell you, I did not want to do insulin while I was pregnant. I was totally against it. I wasn't on insulin before I found out I was pregnant, and then they wanted to put me on insulin. I'm like, I haven't been on insulin in like 15 years. Like, what are you talking about? But I'll be the first to tell you that your hormones just naturally spike throughout the day. That's why you're pregnant. They just go up and down, and your body is fluctuating with all these different emotions, cortisones, hormone levels, just all these things. And all these things literally affect your blood sugars. They affect them. There's nothing you can do about it. You can stay calm, which is one of the best things, but just natural everyday things, walking, moving, talking, eating, you're not going to be able to be in control of that. So it is poignant that you listen to your body, you listen to the doctors, and most importantly, you realize some things you just need extra help on. And it's not saying that you're a failure or anything, because at first there's all the thoughts that went through my head, because I'm like, I haven't been on insulin in years. Now you want to put me back on insulin? Like, what did I do? Like, you ain't even giving me a chance. And I realized when my doctor came to me and she told me, you don't have the opportunity to mess this up, because during these first few weeks is crucial. This is when it makes or breaks. And then if you make it, then you want to keep it. And as you keep it, you want to keep it healthy. And I know there are a lot of people out there that are against, medicine at, with these times that we're in now. And to some rightfully so. I'll give you that. But to others in this situation, I would say don't chance it. It's not worth it. There's a lot of studies on insulin while pregnant, and I'll be the first to say that it was very, very beneficial for someone who wasn't on insulin before being pregnant and got on insulin and was pregnant. It's very beneficial. And so it isn't a hindrance, it's not none of that. But yeah, so that's what I was going to say. And so, it was okay. So when I had him, when I was in labor with him, I was on insulin drip throughout the labor, and I was in labor for 3 days. Actually, I was in labor longer than 3 days, but we ain't gonna discuss that. I was in labor, documented, for 3 days, and yeah. And so when I had him, his sugar was low, and so they were like, we need to give him some medicine and monitor him and make sure he was not diabetic and all the things. And so they did it. He was good. They gave him a bottle. He was good. He liked my sugar. He liked my milk better. Anyways, so that was neither here nor there. My milk came in. I was able to breastfeed, and all was good. But I do attribute that to being that because my body was in the best shape possible. Because when you're getting ready to go into labor, I had a midwife at the time, and the best way she put things was like, you're about to run a marathon. And so now you're training your body before you get across that threshold. So think about yourself getting up to that starting line, and now the race is about to begin. But you haven't prepped none of that during none of that time, them 9-10 months that you was pregnant. You ain't prepped none of that. You ain't prepped yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, none of it. And then you get to this starting line, and then now you want to run this marathon, and you think you're going to be able to do it, and you ain't prepped for it. You ain't ready. You ain't ready, really. I hate to say it like that. You think you ready. You ain't ready. I mean, you can only be as so ready as you could be, but realistically, you ain't ready. And so, just, you got to do the prep work. You got to do leg work. Your baby is depending on you. Your body is depending on you. And when you're done and you've done it, it's done. Now you can live to tell the story, and you bless somebody else with it. Like I'm here now trying to do so. Because again, the journeys that we are on in life are never for ourselves. They're always for somebody else. And when people used to say it, I didn't really believe it. I always used to be like, what are you talking about? But I'm sitting back and I'm just like in amazement and awe, like, wow, that is so true. That could not be more true. So I think that's all of the things. I said a lot. Trying to think back over. I did write it down, so thanks, Ma. I'm trying to think. Was there anything else? I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, Crafty, if you need any assistance or you have any questions, you could always reach out. I'm here. Thanks for sharing about, your husband and all the things. And he got this, you got this. It's actually quite eye-opening as you begin to peel back the layers of diabetes and the journey. It actually helps a lot. It helps balance a lot of things. Insulin resistance. It helps balance people who are struggling with weight loss. It helps balance people with epilepsy because just, with that whole thing, like people with epilepsy, their brain is, it has too much sugar. So like to withdraw the body of too much sugar you eat on a ketogenic diet. And so for me, I found that was actually very helpful as someone who struggles with diabetes. Well, not struggles with diabetes. Why am I saying struggle with diabetes? But who has diabetes, or who is diabetic. So, it's not one size fit all. So if you have any questions, be sure to, have a person there that you can ask those questions to, or just tap in with and vent to when you need to, or, just tap in when you need that as well. So I'm going to let you guys go. I didn't do a full beat. It was something light because I'm going to be jumping and screaming and hollering later on. So nothing like that, y'all. I'm going to a concert. So, yes, but this was so fun. I'm glad you got to see my beautiful face. I'm glad that I got to chit chat with you all on something that it's been weighing on my heart a little bit. I can't lie, because I was a little nervous. I'll say this and then I'll get off. Thank you. I was on Instagram yesterday. It's always on Instagram, right? And Samantha Chapman, she's a news anchor here, a journalist in Chicago, and she interviewed Tamron Hall. And Tamron Hall said something about not revealing her pregnancy to the world. Like, she hadn't announced it on social media. She probably, her family, of course, knew, but she hadn't, told the world. And I guess people realize or feel like if you don't tell something online that it didn't actually happen, or whatever, for whatever reason. Oh, I need to do my brows. I'll do that while I talk to you guys. And so she didn't tell the world, or hadn't released it out there yet. And basically somebody got wind that she had booked a labor and delivery room at this hospital, and they were getting ready to go public. And so they asked her like why she hadn't said anything about being pregnant, and she said, because I was protecting my peace at all costs. And I immediately I resonated with that, because I, for the first time in like a few years, have put out on any of my social media that I have a kid, that I was indeed pregnant. But it was because I was protecting my peace. Because what y'all gonna do? You either gonna say congratulations or, whatever. But in that moment, I understood exactly what she was saying. And so I made a comment, and Samantha Chapman, of all people, responded and was like, amen, sister. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, God, this is what you meant when you said, okay, once you cross this journey, and once you walked this journey and done this thing, you need to go back and you need to tell the people. My mentor tells me that all the time, and I'm just like, what you talking about, lady? Like, I know, when I'm ready, I know. But then, like, now I really know why. And it's because, like, no one talks about it. Like, diabetic people get pregnant. They're not gestational diabetics. They're pregnant people with diabetes, which is the hardest thing to do one of the hardest things to do, because there's always, harder things. But for them, that's their hardest thing to do. And then to cross that journey and to now realize, wait a minute, I'm diabetic and pregnant. So now how do I navigate this way of my life and all of the things? And it's not so easy. And people don't realize how much it affects them until it affects them, because diabetes is increasing and becoming increasingly more of a disease that is not only affecting, it used to really affect the African American community, but other communities and cross communities and cross cultures. And how do you navigate this thing and be in the culture that you're in? Because some cultures are not acceptance of doctors and their diagnoses or stipulations, or, this is what you need to do. And your mama like, girl, just put some Windex on it. And you like, put some Windex on it? Like, mom, like, no, the doctor said I need to do X, Y, and Z. But again, So, with coming across that post, saying the prayers that I've been saying, I realized that I did need to open up and speak about it. And here we are. So if you have any questions, I'm here. Don't feel, don't feel hurtful. Again, I'm not a medical professional, but this is solely based on my life experiences. And if I can help you with any of it, or just, be of any encouragement, this is a safe space here. So I do color on this channel. I color for my piece. As they say, I color to keep from crashing out. I color to keep from crashing out. But I also am an actual trained chef. So I went to culinary school. And so hospitality is my first love. And so when I need a break from my first love, I will pick me up a coloring book. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I don't have any water. Ooh. Hold on one second. Sorry. I had a tickle in my throat. And now I don't want my eyes running, my makeup running, and all the things. I just needed to, But anyway, I digress. So, so to keep from crashing out, I color. And to give you a piece of my heart back, I cook. And so if you have any questions or know anyone who would benefit from this video, go ahead, share with them. I will say this. It will take, it's easier said than done. That's with anything in life. But always know that no matter what journey you're on or where you are in life, God gave you that journey to walk down that path. And always know that when you get on the other side, help somebody else out. Hi, Paula Kay. How are you? Always help somebody else out on that other side. We're doing something a little bit untraditional today. I was talking about my journey with diabetes while pregnant. I'm not pregnant now. I'm talking about when I was pregnant. I had to put that disclosure out there because I posted that I was going live today and this was the topic, and then I had like 75 congratulations, and then my phone went off and people were telling me congratulations, and I'm like, you're not reading it clearly, like, to understand what I'm saying. So let me just put out there specifically that I'm not pregnant currently. Although I do feel like I'm birthing a new person that is coming out of me within myself. This butterfly in this cocoon, if anything, but I'm not a little baby in the oven yet. So yeah. And I'm doing my makeup as we talk because I'm getting ready to hit these streets. We gotta go see Chris Breezy. Sorry if y'all, feel some type of way about him. I love his music. Yes, it was. Listen, it was funny because. Let me swallow this. I'm sorry. I'm chewing while I'm on the camera. But yeah, it was family. And which is insane because I didn't tell the internet I was pregnant the first time. So I'm like, why would you think I would tell the internet I'm pregnant before telling the family? Like, it was crazy. I called my mother-in-law like, Mom, please, anybody calls and tells you, we pregnant over here, you already know. And she laughed because I brainstormed this idea with her yesterday, which I talk to my mother-in-law every single day. I don't know if y'all got a mother-in-law like that, but that's my girl. She's on the line. She gets on the line every single time, okay? And I was brainstorming this with her yesterday, and so it was just funny that, like, people were calling and telling me congratulations. And she was like, well, maybe you are pregnant with a new you. And I had to laugh because I was like, I didn't think about it in that way. So you're absolutely correct. But yeah, so Oh, yes. Oh, yes, Paula, you're in Barbados, right? Oh, my goodness. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, yeah, that whole situation. Listen, listen. Man, he was so young. I just, drugs will do something to you. It'll keep you out of your right mind. But listen, she forgave him, and that was important, especially for her herself. So, but I love his music. When I tell you all this, man, this is off topic now. But when I tell you all this, man, I went to a concert of his back in like 2017. He danced and sang for 5 hours. Because at the time it was only two people, so it was him and her. The musician her opened up for Chris Brown, and she was only on stage for like an hour. I mean, she had only had one album out, so it was only so much music that she could do, and then the rest of the time was him. And when I tell you, we did not leave that theater till like 1 o'clock in the morning. He danced and sang and flipped and tumbled and danced and sang. So I just know we about to have a ball. That's why I was like, I just put on this makeup just to look, just to look a little pretty and to have something to talk to you guys about. He is. If only the world would forgive him, like his fans have, and allow him to grace the stage. I know. He would do amazing. I thought he was going to be able to perform at was it the VMAs? He was supposed to, I'm not sure if you all have like access to the VMAs out there in Barbados or not, but yeah, he was supposed to perform at the VMAs, and then like they took his performance away. It was a tribute to Michael Jackson. Or Barbados. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna go ahead and go so I can get some grub in before I have to check in with the crew. Oh, cool. Okay. I would love to go to Barbados. I've been to Puerto Rico, and I felt like I was with my people. Not many of my family members have like the same features as me. I feel like I'm a combination kid, and nobody got all of the same things I've got. Thank you, Paula. You enjoy too. So yeah, I would love to go hit another island and experience life. But you all be blessed out there and have an amazing day. Be kind. In a world that is so cruel, we need more kind people. So please be kind. Oh, really? I could only imagine. Oh my God. I could only imagine. Okay, one more story and I'll get off. So, and it's in regards to Barbados. So when I went to Puerto Rico, I went snorkeling, and I don't know how to swim. And we were snorkeling in 50-foot deep water. I had two life jackets on, and when I was in labor, and they've told me that I was not going to be able to push my son out, I was going to have a C-section. There was a therapy session that we had went through at work one day, and it was like recollection therapy, where you transcend your body to another place, a more peaceful place at a peaceful time, and you just replay those events over and over again. And what it'll do is it'll trick your mind into believing that you're there and you are not where you are currently. So when I was laying on the operating table, I was in the water in Puerto Rico snorkeling with all the fish and the snapping turtles and the dolphins and the jellyfishes, and I was jumping off that boat, and then when I heard him cry, that's when I snapped into reality. But yes, that's always one of those focal point memories for me, is I take myself back to that place, Puerto Rico, and being in the ocean and the water itself, and just how peaceful, calming, and relaxing it was, and out of body it was for me. Yeah, and so how out of body it was for me, because I don't know how to swim, and it was my very first time in the ocean, And so it was beautiful. It was peaceful. And I felt connected. Like I felt like it was some mermaids down there that I was swimming with. And, you know, Nemo might have came and tapped me on the shoulder. And, you know, all the little Disney. As a Disney princess. But yeah, so, all right, guys. Be blessed. Have a good one. It was so much fun. I will tap back in with you all tomorrow. We're going to do them cookies, okay? So hold me to it. I will put down later today what time I'll go live tomorrow. Maybe one tomorrow. And these, I want to do these oatmeal chocolate chip praline cookies. Like, I just have this thing in my mind. I need to get it out. And so y'all gonna go on this little journey with me. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a blessed one. Be blessed and be safe out there. Bye.